Hey, it's louisity again, and for this video I'm going to talk about books that I barely talk about. Now, I was inspired by Ashley from Bookish Realm. She created a video about, some books that she doesn't talk about much or doesn't talk about at all, and I was inspired to do this video, so I'm going to share you some books that I think I barely talk about in this channel. The first book is The Family Under the Bridge by Natalie Savage Carlson. Now, this is a good Christmas read. It's a Newbery Honor Book Awardee, and I read this for school. I've read it twice, once in 4th grade and the other was in 6th grade. I decided to choose this book because it was relatively thin, and this follows the story of a struggling family, and there was a hobo man who is living under the bridge and decided to take them under his wing, and the family gets to stay with Hobo Man throughout the winter, and it's really a great Christmas read. It's very heartwarming, and I really hope that I get to revisit this novel again. Up next is Dear Mr. Henshaw by Beverly Cleary. Now, this is again another Newbery Honor Medal awardee, so fantastic books, I would say. And I read this for school back when I was in 4th grade, and I don't really remember much, but from what I recall, this is like an epitome of an epistolary novel. This is one of those you would say as an OG epistolary novel, middle grade / young adult, if that makes any sense. So this guy is writing different letters. One of them, of course, is Mr. Henshaw, and I'm considering rereading this, because I want to revisit again, how I felt towards, being a kid, I guess, writing towards somebody. Next is something that I read quite recently, or rather in the recent years, and that is The Promise by Danielle Steele. I'm trying to recall if I read this in 2020 or 2021. I think it was in 2020 that I read this one. Now, this follows the story of two lovers. Now, the guy's mom is not really approving the girl, or the girl's not really approved by the mom of the guy, and but despite that, they are determined to pursue their relationship, and they're madly in love. Now, this story is set, I think, in the early 70s, because this book is published towards the mid or late 70s. So yes, take note of that. And then there's this tragic accident that happened that changed everything. And while they were in the hospital, the guy's mom started saying stuff about the guy, and how the guy's no longer going to be in love with her anymore. They had this sort of a deal of the mom's going to help the daughter to recover, and there's this fact the girl is never going to see, or never going to date, or never going to be in a relationship with the guy. And it's kind of one of those false narrative tropes, because it's kind of there's one person who would say something that is not exactly what it is, and that will change everything, and will change that person's perspective, and then it will go towards the latter part of the story where the girl doesn't like the guy anymore, and is gonna be mad and all that stuff. But yeah, it also tackles about second chance love, because you gotta read the story if you want to know what I mean. And the last for this video is Summer of the Midnight Sun by Tracy Peterson. Now, this happens to be a first book in a series. Now, this is a Christian fiction novel. It has some sort of suspense elements. We follow the story of Leah, who brings Jace to their hometown in Alaska, and Jace gets to meet Leah's family. Jace also has a twin brother, which Helena is chasing, because Helena has this sort of mission to, hunt for Jace's brother, but because Jace looks a lot like of his brother, because they're twins, identical twins, and they look alike, Helena is after Jace and thinking that Jace is the guy who is the one that she's after for, or who she should surrender to the authorities. Now, we'll find out how this ends up. Like, how is this going to be resolved? And there's a little bit of thriller or mystery elements about it, which I liked. And yes, I definitely recommend you folks to read this book. I believe this book is available in Google Play or in Playbooks, so that's where I found it at the time that I read it. It was free, so I don't know now if it still is free, but that's where I found it. Feel free to comment down below a book that you think is underrated or not much discussed. And I hope you folks like this video. Thank you so much again to Ashley from Bookish Realm for creating a video about the books that she barely talks about and inspired me. So thank you very much for sharing that video. And if you folks like this one, be sure to give it a thumbs up. Also click that subscribe button and hit that little bell icon somewhere down there to keep yourselves posted about my videos. And I'll also put down links and handles of my social media accounts, so feel free to check me out and follow me there as well. As always, thank you super much for watching. Let us keep in our minds and our hearts to be loving and kind. Unleash the reader in you. Bye y'all. Mwah.